remember last year when I replaced the bunting, so it's due for some new stuff, and the old stuff gets recycled. Now, this is the parking area at the allotments. It's not just me here, there's lots of other people. And when you reverse your car, you can't see this fence. So it means that it gets splashed. So we decided that we would put bunting on it. So I tend to make a fresh batch each year. Talking of fresh batches, this is the remains of a ton, literally, of manure, and it comes from a biodigester that's near here to make bio heat. And this is what's left, and it's really good. And I ordered a ton of it, and yours truly has moved all of that by barrow onto my plot over the last few weeks. Well, I'm going to scrape up the last of that today because I don't want to waste any. So onto the plot. It's 3 degrees in the northwest of England, and I just thought you might like to see what's going on here. I've got a few jobs to do today, in fact so many that I don't really know where to start. But I thought you might like to see a little tour. So that manure that I showed you by the gate, I have been slowly adding it to the beds that we've got here. If you've seen my previous videos here, you will see that there was grass in between all of the beds, and you can see on the neighbouring plots that it's grass between the plots, and that's how mine used to be. But I've had this allotment, this original allotment, the lower one, I've had it for about 6 years now, and I share it with my daughter. And at the start of the summer last year, I realised I'd basically been spending most of that time trying to stop the grass growing into these beds. And we talk a lot about weeds and slugs and things like that, and I realised that I'd actually spent more time competing with the grass than with anything else. So I declared war on the grass. Now, I don't use pesticides or herbicides or anything like that on my plot, so I have been covering it up. Now, nature did a lot of it for me last year because of the huge amount of mud that developed when we built the chicken run here, and so that is all mud there, which I've been wading through all winter. And also my husband built this pond area. It was already a pond, but he's developed it into a wildlife pond and opened it up. So hoping that's going to look a bit better soon, because I've had this one for 6 years, and last year I took over another one. So the two together is about the equivalent of two tennis courts. So I'll just very quickly tell you about the chickens. There's 6 laying chickens. The reason they're making all this noise is because when they see me here and they see me with my boots on, they are waiting for me to go and dig up some grass and worms for them, which is their favourite thing. They've got plenty of food, chopped broccoli today, and pea flakes and layers pellet, and some nice other grain that's dotted around, but they're waiting for their worms. So we don't have enough to do. So on the top here we've got some reinforced plastic which I fitted yesterday, and that's to cover over the open part of the run. And that's because in the UK at the moment we have a bird flu scare, and to stop any wild birds waste getting into where they run around, this has been covered up, and those rules come into effect today, so 16th of February. So I did this yesterday. So far it hasn't blown away, so that's been quite successful. So as I pass here, I'll just quickly show you. This is one of the speckled ones. They've already scattered it everywhere. Well, if you've got chickens, you'll know what that's like. As I go past here, I'll just show you what I've got in my trolley. So I've got my notebook, so I remember what to do today. And I've also, a couple of things in here I just realised are things I've sown. So it's very messy now, but I'll link to the video where I made this egg carrying basket bag, which I designed because I kept dropping the eggs. So I'll show you that in a minute. And then last year there's another video I'll link to, and that is to make this bag. So I designed the bag so that it's got compartments, a bit like the kind of compartments you sew into sock holders in your drawer, that kind of thing. But I designed this to be a bag that carries, so it's not completely break proof, but bear in mind I was putting them in boxes, and then they were tipping out, and baskets and so on. So there's today's. It's very cold indeed, it's colder than I was thinking. Still windy, but not quite as bad as it has been. I've got myself something to make a hot drink as well. So I'll just take you up to the top plot and show you what's going on up here. So here you can see the whole of my top plot. That this is the one I took over last year. Older high in weeds. My husband trimmed it right down, and then I created these beds in line with where the original beds had been before it became completely overgrown. So this year I'm carrying on with my war on the grass, so I'm covered up a lot of the areas that have had grass on them, and I've put the manure on these beds here, covered them up, ready for planting. So here are the fruit bushes that I inherited. Down the side here there are blueberries and raspberries, which I'm gradually pruning and covering up with mulch. And those are the blueberries, you can't really see what they're down there. So and I'm also hoping to sow some seeds today, so I've got an awful lot to do. Still here at the allotment. I've actually done quite a lot today, and I'm just going to very quickly show you what I've done. So next I'm planting some sweet peas. Now the mixture I've got here in the tray is a mixture of different things. I make some of my own compost from sieved sort of garden compost. Keep it covered so that it doesn't get any weed seeds in it. I also collect, we have quite a lot of moles here, and so I collect up any soil that they bring up, because that's normally not got any weed seeds in it, and I put a bit of that in. Then I use some vermiculite and also a little bit of seed mix, potting mix as well, and I tend to make the mixture up with what I've got of any one of those four things in a mixture, and it seems to work quite well. I think the garden compost, the sieved garden compost, gives the young seedlings a little boost, and they do seem to do well after the initial phases. So with the sweet peas, this is how I do them. I don't soak them. I know some people do. I just put 3 in a pot like this. I don't use root trainers or anything. I've got a lot of these pots which I was given I've got hundreds of them, so I'm using what I've got. So 3 to a pot like that. So this is mid-February I'm planting these, so I know a lot of people grow them earlier. So if you're an old hand at this and you've been growing sweet peas for years, maybe you'd like to share some of your experience in the comments. I have had mixed success with sweet peas. I used to grow them years ago and it never seemed to be difficult at all, but for the past few years it's not gone so well. So strip that I didn't really show you, but the right hand strip on the upper plot is going to be all flowers this year, because my daughter and we want to be able to have cut flowers for the house, her house and my house, and to give away. So I'm just really going for it this year with the flower seeds. So that's starting off with these sweet peas. So I mentioned No Dig before, and Charles Dowding and other people there are other gardeners who use these methods. Again, I've sort of done that ever since I had this plot. I'm really kind of starting to see the rewards of it now. It's very much not what we were taught. I think a lot of the gardening and allotment holding in this country is traditional, but I think the methods changed maybe in the kind of the sort of, I don't know, the 60s to 70s, where different fertilisers and different methods came in. Certainly I was brought up that if you want to grow vegetables, you need to dig the ground every year. And I've never actually done that here. The only thing I had to dig is compost and manure and turn things and dig out weeds and things like that. But generally it's a case of adding on top rather than digging down. And depending on how long you've been gardening and how you've been taught, it can take a lot of getting used to. But certainly if you're interested, do some research. And one of the great things about it is it's easier. So but I'm hoping this is going to be my most productive year yet. So I hope you've enjoyed watching today. Share your knowledge in the comments. I'm learning. A lot of people watching will be learning, and perhaps you know a little bit more about it.